Guys, this is our coffee and conversation for April. It's April the 13th today, and we're talking about all things money. We've got Sphume Dlungwane, who is a chartered accountant and who calls herself your financial friend. So let's hear what Sphume has to say to all of us. So tune in and enjoy this session.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I've got my water, not my coffee, because I've load shedding, so I had to prepare and so many things. I bought this new water bottle, so it kind of motivates me to finish my water. I'm on 2 p.m., so I still have a bit to go before the day ends. But it's lovely to meet everyone. It's lovely to hear what everyone is doing within their business. And as Unompilo has said, my name is Sphume Dlungwane, and I call myself your financial friend on all social platforms. And what that basically means, why I created the platform, is because I help you make smart personal financial decisions so that you can live a life of your dream. And so that's really what your financial friend is about. And we do it through different initiatives, but at the core of it is really building one's knowledge so that they're financially confident, because if you're financially confident, you're then able to make decisions which are going to, or responsible decisions that are going to better your family, better your life, and ultimately better the next generation. And so that's really what your financial friend is about. And I know most of you ladies on the call have said you've got businesses, and you've told us about all your beautiful businesses that you do. But businesses are essentially really always an extension of us. And so it's important that we before we even are starting our businesses and implementing good financial management practices within our business, it's important that we able to ensure that our personal finance management within our personal lives is also in order, because essentially what we do in our personal life will extend and will do exactly what we do in our personal life in our business in terms of managing the business's finances. So it's really important to be able to ensure that our personal finances are in order, and that's essentially what I'll talk to you ladies about today. I'll share my slides a bit later, but what I wanted to really talk about is developing your own money rules, the importance of just having your own money rules, developing your own set of money rules that you live by, essentially your Bible, because there's so many money rules or advice or anything that you find online. People wanting to help you gain this, make this. And so it's so important to be able to develop your own set of unique rules that you can live by, so that you're not easily scammed. And I mean, we've seen so much right now on social media, what's going on with the news that are just going on, and we've seen people actually really, it's so important to be able to develop your own set of values when it comes to money, and know what's enough when it comes to money, so that you don't always are wanting more and more and more and more. Oh, you want me to raise my voice? Okay, let me just also come closer to my, is that fine? Is that better? Okay. So, but before I really start talking about just the different money rules that I'll share, and of course, as I share, you're welcome to incorporate any that you find you resonate with, or and we can always have just a Q&A at the end also. But if you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you agree with anything I say, if you don't agree, if you want us to engage, please feel free just to comment, and let's have this session as really an engagement session, more than just me just talking to you guys. So I just want to just quickly perhaps just speak about why I started Your Financial Friend. I think when I started it, it was really based on my own personal experiences, and from really the belief of the fact that we don't normalize money conversations within our family, within our colleagues, within our friends. Money conversations is often considered to be very, very taboo. And when we do talk about finances, and when we do talk about money, it's often from a place of guilt, sometimes from a place of shame, just because sometimes we feel maybe we've made certain mistakes when it comes to money, And so there's really, I had never really experienced healthy conversations. And that's something that I want to do. And that's why I started Your Financial Friend. Also with even the advice that sometimes you receive about money, sometimes it can be very generic advice. And if you take it and you take it and apply it to your personal life, it can actually end up being working up to your detriment, which is something that happened to me. And I'll share about it just now. And so I really, really do believe that it's important that we start normalizing, not just normalizing conversation, but normalizing more of the healthy conversations about money, because the ability to make money lies in the conversations we're not having. And the conversations we're not having are healthy money conversations. We're not having conversations of if I'm going to an F job interview, asking Unumpilo, please let me know, you are in this industry, you're in a similar position, how much are you getting paid, so that I'm able to negotiate my worth. We're not having those conversations, and we're always seeing statistics. Women are severely underpaid, as when we're comparing it to our male counterparts. And that's because male counterparts, they discuss money, they talk about money, we don't. And then we don't also aren't able to negotiate because we don't normalize the money conversation. And so it's very, very important to be able to normalize the money conversation. And so really my story of why I actually decided to normalize the money conversation and normalize the healthy money conversation is, as Nopilo said, I'm a chartered accountant by profession. And I studied accounting because I was told that if I study accounting, I'm going to make money. So I was like, yes, I want to make money. And also I did well in accounting at school. So I was like, score, bonus, it works out to my favor. I'm just going to go to varsity, do this thing, get my CA-ship, and I'm going to make money. I'm going to be sorted, basically. And that's why I did it. But the journey did not prove to be as smooth sailing as I thought. I studied at UCT. And at UCT, what they do is there was, at that time, I know things have changed now, but at that time, you needed to get certain marks for accounting to be able to move on to accounts 3 to third year. So I didn't get that mark for accounting 2. And I repeated it the following year, but I still didn't get the mark. And so the only option I had at that time was then to move to a general accounting. And UCT called that general accounting accounting 3T, it called it accounting T. So what it essentially means is that they were completely terminating you from becoming a CA, because it was essentially saying you are terminating. You are just going to do a BCom general accounting. And so I graduated with a BCom general accounting T from UCT, after 4 years. Of course, I was devastated because I had not reached my goal of wanting to graduate with the BCom accounting stream, which will ultimately lead me to becoming a CA. So I came back, packed my bags, came back home, and, thank God for UNISA, because UNISA is an institution that really allows us to be able to go in and do bridging courses and then ultimately be able to do honors. So as I was just at home crying, all sorts of things, there was that option that was presented to say, hey, UNISA does have this option. So I went, I did for 1 year, I studied with UNISA, but I also needed to start working, because I also did, I needed to make money as well. I couldn't just study with UNISA, especially because it's part-time, and you do have time to be able to work. So I started working, and I got an internship at KZN Provincial Treasury. And so when my 1 year contract ended, I then decided to start doing articles. I started doing articles because you do need articles in order to qualify as a CA at the end of the day. So I applied for articles, and I applied to so many firms, got interviewed, and the firm that I got hired in and ultimately started working in, I remember the partner just asking me, how much are you currently earning in your internship? I told her I'm earning 3.5, and she said, okay, I'm hiring you and I'm going to pay you 3.5. And I accepted that. And I was happy because I got a job. But when I started working there, it was a shock as I realized that my male counterparts who had a diploma, because I had a degree, were earning way more than me. They were earning close to 10,000. And of course, it goes back to the fact that because we don't normalize the money conversation, I was now underpaid. And the tragedy with being underpaid is that if you start off being underpaid, you will always be underpaid for the rest of your life. And so that's why it's important that we start normalizing the money conversation. We start being able to negotiate our worth as women in every space that we find ourselves in. So I continued, did my articles, did my honors. It took me a very long time to qualify. I often say it takes about 7 years to qualify as a CA. It took me a good 11 years. But I do not regret it one bit, because no one, if I say I'm a CA, no one asks me today how long it took to qualify. So I often say with every dream and goal that you have, if you are really wanting to achieve it, no one is going to ask you how long. Everyone is then going to give you the respect or whatever you do need in order to be able to achieve that goal. So it's opened so many doors for me at the moment. Well, now. So after my articles, once I qualified, I decided, okay, let me move from auditing and find another job. So I moved to Cape Town and found a job. And of course, again, the same thing was followed. I was still underpaid. I started off being underpaid. They wanted my payslip, though my salary had gone up over the years, because I had also qualified when I left from where I was working, from that audit firm I was working, but I was still severely underpaid. And I know this now because when I reflect and tell my friends about my experience of articles, they ask, why were you being paid that much? We weren't being paid that. I'm like, but we weren't talking about it. We were talking about every other thing except for money. And so when I moved, I did not negotiate my worth. I accepted what they offered on the table, and I started working. And when I started working, I moved to Cape Town, and within the finance position, there were other two gentlemen who I was working with. We were both all qualified, but I was more experienced than them because I was a bit older than them. They had just recently qualified and were younger. And a year later, I found out, we do the same thing. In fact, I do way more, and I'm way more experienced, but they are earning way more than me. And they tell me, no, we negotiated our salary. We were offered a package and we negotiated it, because guys know their worth. Guys normalize the money conversation. And so I still trying to recover from the shock. I think to myself, okay, perhaps I should do something about this. Let me go and register a master's so that I can earn, my worth. I can start increasing my salary. I registered University of Stellenbosch. I then start my master's for 2 years. I was fortunate enough to get funding for my master's, because master's is also very, very expensive. And after 2 years, I get my master's, I do my research, I submit my thesis. I'm like, yay, I'm finally going to get paid my worth. I have a master's. So I've added to my knowledge or my degrees. That does not happen. I do not get no pay raise. I start applying elsewhere. It doesn't happen. And at that time, I bought a house in Cape Town. And when I speak of generic advice, it's because of the advice of saying, when you are in this position, when you're at this age, you must then get a home. And that was the generic advice I followed. And I just found myself in such a financial, catastrophe. I was just so frustrated, because I was just like, why did I have to study so hard for this to just, not happen for me? Why am I struggling financially? During that time, my mom passed away. And I think that for me was then the definitive moment for my life, because after she had passed away, I then started therapy. And just from the conversations of which I had with my therapist, she then said, she spoke about limiting beliefs. And she said, do you realize that you have limiting beliefs? And I was like, what? Also, I'm a believer, I'm such a positive person. I was like, what do you mean I'm limiting beliefs? That was a concept I'd never heard. A couple of months later, I started reading a lot during that process as well. And a couple of months later, I got a book which spoke about the abundance code. And then it spoke about the different limiting beliefs that we have as people. And the limiting beliefs comes from the money stories that we often hear when we are growing up. So I was raised by teachers who believe in hard work. Both my parents were teachers. They believe that working hard is very, very important, and we had to, education is very, very important, and you have to work hard for everything. And so as I was just reflecting about my money story and what I believe about money, that's when I realized that I believed that you have to work hard for your money. And that is true. You have to work hard. We have to work hard for everything. But for me, it was a limiting belief because I thought that the only way to make money was to consistently work hard. And that's why I went to register for a master's degree, because I had to work hard to be able to earn more money. I mean, I was probably, if I didn't go through this process I went through, I was probably then going to register for a PhD, because I was, in my mind, I thought that you consistently had to work hard for your money. And so when I started reflecting on this and really and seeing that there's actually other ways of making money, which the schooling system doesn't necessarily teach us, but there's different ways of making money, either than having to just depend on one salary and have to work hard. And as I reflect since starting, I've been able to start Your Financial Friend, be able to collaborate with so many people online, run master classes, and be able to make money in different ways and capacities. I've been able to also use my skill to be able to sit on boards and be able to actually make money in that way. I've been able to start investing my money to be able to also to allow my money to grow and to make money. So that process of just reflecting and asking myself what money is and what I want money to do in my life has led me to deal, or to be more aware, and also to deal directly with the belief that I had, the thinking that I had, that you have to work hard for your money. And so that's essentially been my journey. And so when I speak of, I wanted just to also mention other limiting beliefs, and you ladies can tell me if there's any that perhaps resonates with you. Because the thing is, with beliefs, or with the beliefs that we have about money, we can never outperform our beliefs. So sometimes we're told to have affirmations, say so many affirmations, but if you haven't dealt with the root cause, which is the belief, because it's in the subconscious mind, because that's where it gets stored when we are younger, between that age of 4 and 7. So when we now show up in the world, we show up based on our formative years, and so we keep just replicating what we believe and what we saw about money. So it becomes more of an invisible script, because you see what you believe. So it's important to be able to start creating good belief systems about money, so that you're able to make more money ultimately. And so the book that I read, Julianne Khan spoke about the top 7 myths that we generally have about money, which limits us. And she says, number 1, we often hear that money doesn't grow on trees. And so that we have a belief that there's a scarcity mentality. We have a belief that there's a limit in terms of money. And that's why it's important to be able to describe and say, what is money for me? Because if we say money is a resource, and we say there's the sun, and we say there's the energy, and we say there's the air, and those are equally also resources which are abundant in every way and every day, then how can money be limited? Because money is a resource. So money is abundant. There's abundance in terms of money. So it's important to be able to describe what money is. Another one, she says, another topic belief is that time equals money. We think to make time is an exchange of time. And there's only 24 hours in a day. We can't work for a full 24 hours. So money can never equal time. We have to find other ways of making money, and not think that I constantly have to work because I want to make money. And the other one that I've said is that money equals worth. Money equals you have to work hard for your money. That's the one that I resonated with. Another fourth one, she talks about it takes money to make money. So we often think that if you are now locked out of the system of making money, if you didn't grow up with making money, money is only reserved for certain people. And so we go on with life and thinking, oh no, those people can get rich. Oh no, and that's not true. That can be a limiting belief that we now live with for the rest of our lives. And another one is we think easy come, easy go. And so sometimes for me, when I started being aware of the process and working on it, then I started seeing how easily money can come because I've been able to utilize my skill. And so sometimes we can think, and then this limiting belief came because it said, oh, easy come, easy go. This money came in so easily, it's probably going to leave as quickly as it came. And that's also another belief to say, we think that if money comes in easily, it should also easily go out. It's a limiting belief. It doesn't have to be like that. Another one, she says, is money will not make you happy. We often think that it's okay for us not to have money because money won't make us happy. But money buys a lot of conveniences. I'd rather have money than not have money. But will me not having money make me happy? No, it doesn't. It's often a limiting belief, thinking in our subconscious mind, which we are walking around with and dealing with and interacting with daily. Another one which we often hear is that money corrupts or money is rooted in evil. So we kind of step away and say, no, we don't want to have money because we don't have, it's rooted in evil. Oh no. And so those are all the beliefs that can limit us in order to being able to grow ourselves in terms of our finances. And so it's so important to be able just to audit your thoughts, audit your upbringing, kind of reflect and say, what is it that I saw when I was growing up? What did I see when I was growing up, in terms of money that may make me believe certain things about money? Because you often see it as a pattern. For me, it was hard work. I was consistently working hard because I wanted to chase that money. I consistently felt that I needed to work hard. Working hard is good, but my belief was that it's the only way to make money, which was not true, and it was limiting me in that way. And also auditing those beliefs and asking, is it true? Is it true that this belief that I have is true? It's true, because often at the time I was working at the waterfront, and I would often during lunch, every time I go to the mall, there's always people just working in coffee shops. And I'm just like, how do these people do it? And so when I started asking myself about these beliefs, and I said, is it true? And I said, no, it's not true, because there's certain people who are doing so many other things, and they're not necessarily having to work hard. It's often said that an average millionaire has 7 streams of income. And so within those 7 streams, they're not working hard for all of those streams. It's passive income that's coming in that they have been able to build just from their salary. So it's very also important to be able to put the respect that's needed with the salary that we have when we start working, because that salary is really an asset that's going to ultimately create multiple streams of income. So it's important to be able to also manage it very, very well. And so when you start poking holes at that belief and start seeing other people, you then realize that, no, this belief is something that I just hold, which is not necessarily true. And the beauty about, beliefs is that we can reboot them, we can rewire new beliefs, we can build new habits. And so that's just the beauty of this journey called life. And so also, I started also, so important to be able to ask, what is money in my life? What's the purpose of money in my life? And as I said, money is different for each and every one of us, because 20 Rand for someone is going to buy something completely different for someone else. 20 Rand may be airtime for me. For someone else on this call, it may be a loaf of bread. For someone else on this call, it may be a tip. So it's different for every one of us. So we need to be able to explain what money is for me. It's an enabler. It helps me be able to reach my goals. And so that's the beauty of being able to explain what money is. And for us all on the call, for business owners on the call, it's so important in our business, even if you're not a business owner, but even in where you are working, be able to articulate what value am I adding, because money flows where value is grown. So it's important to be able to say, what value am I adding? Because that then if you're able to articulate the value that you are you are adding in your space or where you work, then the money is going to flow. Because what often happens is that, especially with business owners, I often get asked, people say, oh, but there's so many people within doing something that's similar that I'm wanting to do. There's not going to, I'm not going to make money out of it. Then the question is, you've got your Mr. Price, you've got your Acres, you've got so many shops. If you go into the mall, high-end shops and low-end shops, they probably all sell a white T-shirt, but they know the value that they bring, and they know their client base. They are not checking, Mr. Price is not checking out Acres and saying, ooh, or checking out poetry or Forever Young. They understand what value they are adding, and they understand their clientele. And so it's important even for us as business owners to be able to understand what value am I adding. And I mustn't be intimidated or threatened by people who are doing similar things, because if I'm able to understand and articulate what value I'm adding and what type of clientele I'm adding it to, then money is going to flow, because I'm adding value. Money always flows where value is being added. So it's important to be able to always be able to articulate and write down what value is it that I'm adding into my business or into the work that I do if I'm employed. So it's for me. So essentially, I always love to start with this part, because when I started changing the way I look at things, when I started changing, when you start changing the way you look at things, then the things that you are looking at start changing. So it's not necessarily that there were certain things, massive things that changed, but really the things that I started looking at really ultimately changed entirely. I've always wanted to go into being a lecturer, but every time I would speak about lecturing, people would be like, no, lecturing, you underpaid, you're severely underpaid. But it's something that I love, and I'm able to articulate the value I'm able to add to my students' life. And beginning of last year, I was able to then be able to go into lecturing. And now I'm actually making way more money than I was when I was in corporate. And that just speaks to the fact that my limiting belief was the one that was really stopping me. It's how I viewed. So when I started viewing how things were changing, my life completely changed. And I'm actually living the life that I've always dreamed of living, but was scared because I was told that I will not get paid enough and I will struggle. So that's just a bit about me and why I started Your Financial Friend. And that's exactly what we talk about within Your Financial Friend. Importance of being able to build skills, build your abilities, build your competence, so that you are able to find ways of making money. Because often we're told that the only way of making money is through school. And then we wonder why the unemployment rate is so high, because our graduates are waiting to be employed. But our graduates don't realize the skill, the talent, the competence that they have, that they can utilize to be able to make money elsewhere. In their personal space. We all have to start somewhere. Start small. It doesn't have to be massive, but it's just our level of thinking and perception and how we view things. And so that's why Your Financial Friend was born. So I'll take a sip of water. And if anyone has any questions before I'll put through my slides, because I just want to talk about developing your own money rules, and just certain money rules that I think are so important for us to establish and have within life. So I'm just going to find the sharing button. Nobilo, can you please make me host, please? So that I'll be able to share. Nobilo, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. I've made you host.
Perfect. Thank you. I'll share now.
So may I ask you a question, or may I just ask you how you feel about this comment? I'm saying it from the point of a 63-year-old, and I've also been an educator for a while, and then, into business and that kind of thing. Do you not find that a lot of our curriculum at university is too academic and does not, it just gives you an academic qualification? or I should say an academic piece of paper, and it's not professionally aligned.
Absolutely. No, I
And
agree.
I just had a lawyer that I was chatting to earlier on, and she's in her dad's business. And one of the things that got to me is she doesn't want to go and do law. And I said to her, become CETA accredited. You know, get done with EDTB CETA. It opens ground. And she says, but I trained, I've got an LLB. I said, that's it. Get that ego of that B after the B's and M's behind our name mean nothing if we do nothing with it. And this is where I think we need to uplift women and make them realize, don't look at the graduate as some hero. You're just as good as her, if not better than her, and get going with your skill. So yeah, that was just crossing my mind. You're a wonderful lady to listen to. I could listen to you the whole evening.
Thank you. I really appreciate your kind words. Thank you very much. So I'm just gonna share my screen. And so I'm just, as I'm sharing this, it's so important to have your own money rules in life and not necessarily follow the money rules that we get online. And I'll share 10 money rules which I live by, and let me know in the comment section if there's any ones that you live by and that resonates within you. But I just wanted to just share these 10 with you ladies. You can incorporate them in your personal life, then you can also incorporate them in your business as well, because they are very aligned. So the first one is really establishing a healthy money relationship. And this is the one that I really have reflected on in terms of us really going back to our money story and asking what is it that I saw when I was growing up, that I believe in, that I heard, which when it comes to money. Often people say that at the end of payday, where my money's been taken by debit orders, I'm left with nothing. And people are sharing means. And then when you actually then start asking the question, oh, okay, so what do you realize that what you are saying is powerful because there's power in words? And then a person will say, no, by fire, by force. And then you're like, no, but you know what you are saying versus clearly what you are thinking and what you are saying and what you are now countering it against are three completely different things. And so we wonder why we remain in the same space, because we say certain things and then we say we don't mean them, but we actually do because the subconscious mind has recorded them as such. So it's important to be able to establish a healthy relationship with your money and being able to check in on your money without, getting health palpitations, being able to go on money dates, going on coffee dates, to be able to check in and saying, okay, what am I spending on? What are my spending habits? Being able to observe your thoughts around your money. What is it that I think about money? Do I think good thoughts about money, or does it give me anxiety? And then creating your affirmations about money, creating good affirmations that you want to see in your life about money. It's very, very important. But before we can start, creating these affirmations, sometimes I saw a tweet saying that the affirmations are very toxic. Affirmations aren't toxic, they're great. It's just that we say them without having sorted out our foundation. Our foundation is our beliefs. So we can never sort out the foundation without, we have to go back to the foundation before we actually go to the walls of the house. So we have to go back and really realize, what is it that I believe about money? So it's about establishing that healthy relationship with our money. The second one is we have to live below our means. As I said, I think for me, this whole case that's on social media right now has made me realize that we're in an era where we don't want to live below our means. And that's because we are seeing so many things on social media, so many things, so many moments of people posting certain things, posting bags, posting every sort of thing. And then we as humans want instant gratification, and we want to get those things, and that leads us to being able to now living beyond our means. And the minute we live beyond our means, it means we are extending into funds we don't have, and those funds are likely going to be credits. And that's where the problem comes in. We have to be able to build a habit of being able to live below our means. Sometimes I often hear people saying that, no, I'm fine living beyond my means. As soon as I get more income, as soon as I get the job that I want, then I'll be able to start with my financial journey of being able to live below my means. But what's the truth is that what we each of us call necessary expenses will always grow to equal our income unless we protest to the contrary. So if it's because personal finance is about habits, it's really rooted in our habit building. If my habit at the moment is living above my means, the minute I triple my income, those habits are going to continue. I'm not going to suddenly wake up and say, oh wow, I'm wanting now to have a financial wellness journey of being able to live below my means. And so, living below our means that a certain percentage of money always has to be allocated to investment. Investment means that there's a certain amount of money that is going underground. Underground meaning that we're planting it as a seed so that it grows for the future. We also have to have savings, save for the future, save for the inevitable, because life happens. And when life happens, we need to be able to access our savings. And so if you don't have any savings, then your only access is credit. And that's where we all then going to fall short when we access credit, because credit, we've seen 9 interest hikes happening since we came out of COVID. Excess of credit is very, very expensive. We've seen our disposable income reducing rapidly because of these hikes. Because if you have a car and you have a home and you have any credit, the interest rate has now gone up. It's paying installments. And so if you're living already above your means, really, really becomes difficult. And so we need to gather these financial management skills right from the bottom so that we're able to, when we grow our income, we already are starting off from a good, from good habits. And we have to create a budget or a spending plan. I know most people find that when we speak about budgeting, it almost feels like you are limiting yourself and you are not going to enjoy your life. But truly and honestly speaking, in all the companies that I've worked for, they all have budgets. And a company's main core objective is to make a profit. And companies do make profits, but they also do budget. But that just speaks of the importance of budgeting, because we also have to view ourselves as assets, as companies. We're an investment in ourselves. You have to be able to tell your money where to go. Otherwise, you're going to wonder where your money is going to go. Also, a budget gives you a freedom of being able to spend freely and not feeling guilty every time when you've spent and thinking, oh, I shouldn't have. You're able to allocate and say, no, I'm wanting to spend this on this, I'm wanting to buy myself a beautiful dress, I'm wanting to go on holiday, and you save up for that and you put it on your budget, and then you don't feel guilty when you do it. So it really gives us a freedom of being able to spend our money in how we want to spend it in line with our financial values and our financial goals. And so often people think it's limiting. It's really, really not. It's liberating, because it's the starting point of also being able to see where those small expenses go to. When I started doing my budget and really, really being consistent and disciplined at it, I realized that I was buying way too much coffee. I would buy it in the morning and I would buy it in the afternoon. And that would at that time would come up close to about 1,000, 1,500 each month. So important also when we are making a budget and reviewing our budgets to make sure that we eliminate all destructive expenses. So destructive expenses are often those expenses that do not benefit us in any way. So they don't add any value in our lives. So for me, an example I did was the coffee. I realized I can actually buy my own coffee and utilize that money elsewhere. I really don't need to be buying takeaway coffee every day because I love coffee. That was the reason why I buy it so often, but there was really no reason. Sometimes we find that you have gym membership, but you don't ever go to gym, or you have Netflix, you have Showmax, you have every type of Max accounts to watch, but you actually never watch any. So it's so important to be able to review and say what the expenses that I'm paying, the spendings that I'm spending on, are they really adding value to my life and adding value to the goals that I ultimately want to achieve? Then it's also important to be able to include lifestyle expenses. Because we work hard for our money, it's important to also be able to enjoy our money. And so it's important to, when you are doing your budget, to be able to include those expenses that really add value to your life, that give you joy, that you feel rejuvenated afterwards, more of your self-care expenses, really, really important, because you must be able to enjoy life, and part of enjoying it is actually spending on things that really matter to you and add value to you. It's important also to make sure that we include protective expenses when it comes to our budgeting. And these are the expenses that will ensure that we do not go into financial distress when life happens or when an emergency happens. So here we're looking at things like our insurance, things like our medical aid, things our life cover, especially if we have kids. It's so important to make sure that we have life cover to be able to ensure that our kids are able to still continue with life. You know, the school fees are still be able to still structure the life cover in the sense that they're still able to, the school life cover will pay for their school fees once, if anything ever has to happen. Because one thing we are certain of is that life will always happen, and so we need to ensure that we are protected in every way. Include productive expenses. This is a big one with this economy that we are in. We are all feeling a pinch with the hikes that have happened. There's definitely less disposable income. So the only way we can now start increasing our income is ensuring that we spend on protective expenses. Are those expenses that don't add immediate, they either add immediate value or they will add immediate value in the future for your life, and so they will help you be able to increase your ability to be able to earn. And I know Shanta was speaking about the fact that the school doesn't really prepare us for the working world. And I think the working world is the graduates being able to see the skill that they have, that they can actually, so that they're able to make money outside of not necessarily being employed. And so sometimes the skill that you may need a coach at times, you may need just to be able to guide you. You may need, skills always need some sort of investing for you to be able to tap out of it. I was never a speaker. I did not speak. I was scared of speaking. I was the last person to speak, to the fact that when I started Your Financial Friend, some of my colleagues are still in shock that I actually speak. But I invested in that skill. I invested in it because I knew that it will definitely grow to make me more money in the future. So it's important to be able to grow. Also, we're in the culture where I find people don't want to invest in skills that are going to grow them. We often always expect other people to invest in them, either our employer or our family, but no one wants to invest, because sometimes the skill that you invest in, sometimes it's very expensive, and you feel that you're wasting money, but we actually don't realize that the waste comes in us not actually being able to skill ourselves in any way, because the only way we can skill ourselves is the only way we can increase income is by skilling ourselves in an area in which we feel we are skilled in. Either we're writing ebooks, if you're a writer, then you start writing ebooks and selling them online. There's affiliate marketing, there's teaching English online. There's all other side businesses that we can start investing in, so that we're able to articulate the value that we're adding, because money always follows value and it grows. So it's important to be able to invest in that. The seventh one is building an emergency fund. I touched on that when we spoke about savings. We realized with COVID, when life happens, very important to be able to build that emergency fund to be able to help you be able to access it and not have to rely on cash, on credit. Paying off any of those high interest bearing accounts is very, very important. Not all credit is the same. Every credit you embark in is different. So that's why credit knowledge is very, very important. We often find that short-term credit, the interest rates on that are very, very high, as opposed to the more longer-term credits, which would be your car or your home. The short-term credit, which is your personal loan, your store cards, your credit cards, the interest is very high. And the reason for that is because there's no asset that is attached to it. So if you ever had to default on paying, then the bank can't come and get your car. There's no security attached to it. So what happens is that they want to make sure that they get their money right for the first couple of months. So they make sure that you are paying the interest for the first couple of years or first couple of months, depending on the length of the term of the loan. So you find that some interest rates range up to 15%, 20% on your credit cards. So it's very important if you have any short-term credit, make sure that you are paying it off, especially with these interest rate hikes. It's important to just be able to list all your debits or your credits and start knocking off all the credit that start off with the least amounts, the one that you're paying the smallest in, but try and always pay extra, because we are people who are really motivated by reaching goals. So the minute you realize that you've paid off something, you are motivated, and then as you're moving on to your next loan. So for example, if you list your loans and you find that you have 5 loans and you're paying 100 Rand for the first one, so maybe you start paying 200 Rand. Then once you're done with the 200 Rand, you then move over to the second loan. The additional 200 Rand that you were paying, you're now putting it into your second loan that you are paying, so that you're able to pay it off a bit faster, because you don't necessarily have to pay what is required for you to pay. You can always pay extra into the loan. Also, even with entering into any loan agreement, you can always negotiate your loan, especially your loan, the interest that you're given, especially if you've been a good credit utilizer. If you utilized your credit well, you pay your credit on time, you've got a good credit record, you can always negotiate. You don't have to accept what is given to you. Even if you have credit now, if you have any credit in terms of your car, if you have any credit in terms of your house, you can call your bank and ask that they review your interest, because you've been a good payer. Even when it comes to insurance, you can always review those type of things to be able to just make more savings in terms of your income. The last one, very important to have an accountability partner, because accountability is key. If you have someone who's a money buddy, even if it's your friend, spouse, family member, just to keep you accountable in terms of the goals that you have, it's very, very important. It's really, really going to help you. Also, I always emphasize this, always let's be kind to ourselves, because we did not grow up normalizing the money conversation. So at this stage in our lives, we are all learning, we are all unlearning, we are all relearning. And so it's so important to be kind to ourselves. We make mistakes, let's forgive ourselves. And the next day we're going to take it up. And it's a journey. And so that's just really the money rules that I wanted to chat to you about. Yes, that is it. I am done. Thank you.
Guys, can you please clap hands for Sphume? That was just so amazing. Hands, noise, poo, 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 poo sound, because wow. Poo, poo, poo,
it was lovely.
And thank you so much, guys, for coming back. I was so scared that, you're not going to be able. Wow. Do we have any questions? Shanta, I've been seeing that you've been adding some nuggets as Sphume is talking. But I think I have this one question for you, Sphume. Okay, maybe you can go first, Shanta.
So, don't you think that keeping up with the Joneses is one of the biggest problems? And it comes from low self-esteem, because you know that low self-esteem can be covered up with confidence.
Yes.
And I find the biggest problem when I'm dealing, even when I'm doing marital counseling or whatever, and as soon as money comes in, it's keeping up with somebody else.
Yes.
I mean, just walk with kings, but never lose the common touch, and you'll be fine.
Yes, you'll be fine. Yeah. That's what I was reading a book which also speaks about the fact that because we don't know our enough as humans, and knowing enough doesn't mean we are saying we're living the average life, but being able to say, this I know, when I start earning this amount of money, I know I'll be comfortable and it will be enough for me. It's okay when you get there to increase it, but it's also important to be able to know that this for me will be comfortable. But because we don't know our enough, we're not writing our money down, our money goals down that we want to achieve. We're constantly running and trying to catch the next person and our next neighbor, and so it's really, really quite, and a challenge.
It is.
Shanta, there's something you said walk with kings, but still keep?
Never lose the common touch.
Oh, the common touch. Wow.
I love that.
I love that. I love that. You see, I told you she's
Yes.
wow. So where do, if a person wants to monetize, because you mentioned that we also have skills that are for passive income. You said an average millionaire has 7 streams of income. Where would one start in terms of monetizing their other skills in order to make more money? You told us that you started being a lecturer, you started editing. What would be your advice to someone who wants to monetize?
So okay, so let me just share my program of classes that we have, because you can always join our master classes that we have. In August, I'll be running a class for monetization strategies.
Oh.
And what I do in my classes is that I bring in coaches, because coaches help us be able to reach where we want to go. And so sometimes coaches can become expensive. So this program, it's 400 Rand a month for the class, and you join the WhatsApp group, and you also get information within the WhatsApp group, which is something I don't share on my social media. It's just for our community within that WhatsApp group. And the coach that we bring then is able to help us be able to strategize and see what skills do you have, what competence do you have that will help you be able to monetize your skill, whatever skill that you have, because we all have different skills. Sometimes you just need to be able to sit down with someone and just be a sounding board, so that, or even hear someone, so that you're able to evaluate. Last month we were doing the future of work, and the guest that we have, the coach that we have, was telling us the skills that we can start using now, which are the skills that are going to be needed in the future. Because sometimes you need to evaluate if the current job that you are doing, will be required in the future. And so you kind of also have to realize, is what I'm doing really going to be needed in the future? Because there's ChatGPT now, there's all sorts of things that are coming in. And so the coaches that I bring are experienced, are experts in their field. So they come in to be able to challenge our thinking, so that we're able to think more broadly, so that we're then able to implement all the goals that we want to achieve.
Wow. Thank you so much, Sphume. Noluntu's got a burning question. I want you to ask Shanta yourself. Noluntu, you can unmute. I saw in the chat.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I would appreciate if Ms. Shanta could actually elaborate just a bit on the common touch side. What does she mean? Like as in, yeah.
So are we kings?
Yes.
We're not. We're not kings. We were never born into royalty. Right? We've brought ourselves up into whatever social status we have. And when we reach that status, there's no need to suddenly forget that we are still those ordinary human beings that did ordinary things and lived ordinary lives. And if we have to just remember that, we stop having a problem of low self-esteem. Because what happens as you go up the ladder of success, competition can either break your self-esteem and lead you into a lot of problems, or if you are successful, competition can actually boost your self-esteem. So there's two ways. When I talk about the common touch, I look at us being commoners. We're not the royalty. We weren't born into some royal British family or something of that sort. We're not the monarchy. So if we have to walk with them and rub shoulders with them, well and good, but don't forget who we are. It keeps us grounded. Yes, that's it. Let it not go to your head. That's it. Be grounded.
Thank you so much.
Have I answered your question?
I hear you very well. I just have a question, Sis Nompilo, when you're done talking regarding the actual presentation.
Can you please just pose your question now for Sphume?
Okay. Thank you so much, Sissy. Sissy Sphumes. What I want to ask you, friend, is you're right when you started in terms of saying our families are afraid of talking about money. I tried with my family, which is my mom and my dad and my siblings. I kid you not. I kid you not, till this day, they have just slipped away, right? So I've actually resolved into saying, let me just show them by action. With the money that I have, I'm literally like strict about it in terms of what I do. So as I plan, I involve them with my actual money. But my question to you is that they say savings, we shouldn't save. Okay, fine, I get those rainy days, blah, blah, blah. I'm confused when it comes to saving. They say saving is for what? I'm saving for it. What's the difference between saving and investing? Because that's where my dilemma is now, is that if I save, am I saving for investing or something like that? I don't know. But why is saving no longer a good thing? I get it, the bank eats the money, uses the money, but what am I to save for investment? Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Noluntu, for your question. So saving essentially is you're saving for a specific goal, or you're saving for a specific task that you're gonna have. So it's not saving will never grow your money. It will never outperform inflation. Inflation being the rise in prices, because we've seen number prices have risen quite high, like 6% or 7 or 6. I think inflation is 7.5%, meaning the prices have drastically gone up. So what you do is when you save with the bank, the interest rate you're likely gonna get is like 6% if you're very lucky. So that's why you can never save your wealth. You can never serve yourself to financial independence or serve yourself to wealth. So saver is just essentially, generally they say about 3 to 6 months as just a general, so 3 to 6 months of your salary, so that you're able to, if anything happens, entire breaker in yenzeka, life happens, economy buffer, also which you'll be able to go to be able to manage life, and life will still continue. Because if you don't have those savings, then you might need to access credit, and credit then comes with interest, which is way more expensive. Then when it comes to investing is now something completely different. Investing, you're now investing in a product that is going to make you money in the future. So you can either invest in property, you can invest in shares, you can invest in a business if you're wanting to start a business. So it's a product. It's something that is likely going to grow your money and make you money in the future. So there must be a product, something underlying that you can say, no, you say, I'm investing in this and it's likely to grow in the future. So that's the two fundamental difference.
Wow, thank you so much. Especially, wow. Also, so there needs to be a time period for savings, not just saving forever and ever.
Also, there must be an amount. So you also calculate it's okay. For me, 3 to 6 months of my expenses, if I had to be without a job, the expenses that I need to pay would come up to 100,000. So I'm just going to limit savings to 100,000, and I'm going to leave it in the bank. And every time an emergency comes, 10,000, I'll replace it. But I'll ultimately I'll cap it there, because I know even if emergencies come, I'll cap it. But then most of the dealer with your savings, you want to be able to invest, because investing comes with time, compound interest. That's how your money is able to grow. Especially if you're investing in the market, compound interest works for you, and you want to access that as early as possible, so that it works for you in the future.
Thank you, sis. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
We really need to talk about money. Are there people in this call that want to ask Sphume questions? Because I just feel like I need your August teaching. So with your master classes, is a person allowed to join in a certain month if you feel like, no, I'm stronger in the other elements, but maybe I need to learn about property. So can I join maybe in the month where you are teaching about property? Okay.
Yes, yeah. You can just join whatever month you want. You're not entitled. You don't have to join for the full year.
Oh, okay. So how can we follow you and get to know more about your products? I know that your link was actually in the Women in Business newsletter in the past month, which is March. And yeah, but how can people get hold of you, like share your social media followings, like your social media platforms?
Yeah, so I'm on both Facebook and Instagram, Sphume Dlungwane. Search your financial friend and you'll find me there. I generally have weekly lives. So we have themes each month. So as this month, our theme is investing in shares. That's what I'm teaching about. And our masterclass is at the end of the month, which is more about investing in shares. So you can follow me there. Yes, I am on LinkedIn, but I don't share I don't share much financial information there. It's predominantly on Instagram and Facebook, but LinkedIn is I am there as well. So
Yeah, the
Luluntu
reason
is asking.
the reason I'm
You can go.
the reason I asked about LinkedIn is I think this presentation deserves to go on to LinkedIn. I think you need to actually present this on LinkedIn, Sphume. It is so beneficial. Please consider it
okay.
as a LinkedIn article, please.
Oh, okay, yes. Actually, let me make a note of that.
Please.
Thank you.
There's a question in the chat that says, so if we join in that month, do we pay the 400 Rand for that month? So it's 400 Rand on a monthly basis.
It's 400 Rand per month, yes. So if you join for the month, you'll pay 400 Rand. Recurring, if you want to continue with the classes, or if you can, you must just be able to tell us that you're just wanting to join investing and you're wanting information on that, and we'll just allocate you for that month.
Do you do one-on-one sessions?
Yes, I do one-on-one sessions. That is on the link on my to book. It's on my link on my Instagram.
Yes. Okay, so there's another question in the chat that is asking, so what are other benefits other than monthly topics?
Or within the group. Within the group. So we have our masterclass within the group each month. Then we have a WhatsApp group where we share more information. So you'll find that on my social media, I do share information, but on the group, it's now more detailed and it's user specific, because what we did with our communities beginning of the year, we asked them what they wanted, and we've curated our topics based on what they want and what they want to know. So each month, the articles, the information that we share to help them grow in their finances is shared in the group specifically for them, and so that's another add-on benefit that you get if you are part of our membership.
Okay, so can I ask you another question? Because you spoke about 7 streams of income. So you're a lecturer and you're doing financial buddy, financial friend, and then are you still on corporate? What other ways are you doing to monetize, to grow your?
So I'm lecturer, that's my main stream of income at the moment. And then your financial friend through master classes. Then I sit on boards. Then I am a speaking engagements. Then I've invested in property, so I'm receiving rental income now. Then also I'm investing in shares. So I'm also looking now to write a book, because that will then be another 7th stream of income.
Wow, we have a hand up. You can go ahead and ask your question. Noluntu?
Thank you again. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Sphume, yes. I'd love for you to give me advice, because I'm really in a dilemma. So there's something amazing that you said. You said, if we what's the word? If from when we start and we underpay ourselves or something. Yes, underpay ourselves, it can actually start a cycle. Yeah. Because sometimes we can get very emotional, and the men are just straight out. So I wanted to ask you, especially when it comes to things that are involving like things in the city, or things that are involving people wanting to do projects and stuff like that. And especially when you offer more of a services company, and like a product, a person cannot say, oh, please, Abo. But when it comes to service, it kind of becomes very hard to put a price on and so forth. So my question to you is, for example, for myself, I'm going to be asked to do some trainings and to do some be a project manager for one of the city's major thing that they're trying to start. But I'm in a dilemma of like, how do I gauge, Guti, how much? How do I know? Because you know how they say municipalities, they'll say there's no money, but yet there's a certain budget for certain things within the city. It's just that I don't have much information on such things. So how can one actually start to see how they can actually start to to price themselves and not underprice themselves because they're afraid and so forth. I don't know if you get my question. Outside of private corporate, when you're now going to government and all that, how can one gauge themselves? Thank you.
Well, first of all, you definitely want to make sure you are making a profit, first and foremost, with your pricing. So at least you want to make sure that even if you don't know anything at the moment, when you're starting, at least be able to break even and make a profit. Otherwise, it's not, even if they don't choose you, they'd rather not choose you than you making a loss, because then it really doesn't help. But I've seen, Shanta also has said something which I've been taken granted a few times. Make your worth known and research the average cost. If you can't afford it, it is worth giving them your effort. I absolutely agree. And also another thing I was going to say is, such networking sessions that Nobilo does within Women in Business are also very helpful, because when you start engaging with people you start networking, getting people in similar industries, then you're able to also gauge with how much is actually the going price, so that you're able to then market yourself according to the market price. If you don't know it, because you don't know what you don't know, so you have to ask. So starting to market a network really also does help. But I think if you don't have access to networking, never underprice yourself. It's not worth it. Make sure you're making a profit, irrespective of the project. If you're not making a profit, it's not worth it.
Wow, ladies, what a heated up conversation. Wow. And thank you for mentioning the importance of networking, which we prioritize in Women in Business. And as I said earlier, we are planning our event in Durban, and we'll let you know once the meeting with the committee has happened. Innocentia, I say, articulate your value enough properly to be able to stand your ground. Yes, Innocentia. And Noluntu says that, Shanta wrote that, Noluntu, I have been taken for granted a couple of times. Make your worth known and research the average cost. If they cannot afford you, is it worth giving them your efforts? Because other people actually, even when they can afford your service, but they'll tell you they can't, just so that they can pay as less as possible. But with other people, they will actually pay more. So we must also make our boundaries known, that you cannot go below that figure. Yes, sometimes we do want clients, but at what cost? If it's going to exhaust you and if it's not going to give you value, and then it's not worth it. Do we have any further questions? If there are no further questions, Sphume, can you give us any closing remarks as we wrap up?
Thank you very much for inviting me, Nobile. I think that just my closing remarks is just for everyone to never discount themselves in wanting to attain any of their financial goals. If someone has been able to do it, it definitely means it can be done. And when we say that, sometimes it can mean, I'm not talking about competition. I'm not saying you must be competing with people. I'm saying you must be drawing out the positives and seeing what they're able to do and draw inspiration, and then be able to see that it's actually you're able to do it in your life. Because for me, that's how I've been able to, through reading books, through even the friendships I've had, to see that if someone is able to do it, then I can certainly be able to do it. And also going to ask the advice, asking and being okay with saying, how have you done it? Let's not think everything is about competition. We can always collaborate as women, and let's do that. Let's collaborate so we can make more money as we're forging ahead. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for allowing us to invite you in the Women in Business platform. And I will close with Shanta's words for today. And she says that, thank you for this evening, really wonderful, and I look forward to reading your article on LinkedIn and your videos on LinkedIn. Low self-esteem can be covered up with self-confidence. work with the kings, but still keep the common touch. So let's try and not live the lives that we can afford, because that's where the problem really starts. I'm really looking forward to watching this video once we've posted it on all our social media platforms. And ladies, thank you so much for your time. I know we've gone 40 minutes over the 1 hour we planned, but it was all worth it. So let's normalize those money conversations in 2023 and beyond, because they will help us improve. Meeting someone and engaging and knowing what's the going rate. I really believe that's what I got from today. I actually got a lot, and I just want to thank you for your time, and we've had such a wonderful time. Have a good evening further. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, Sphume. Bye.